I feel like we're gonna get murdered back here.
That pile of trash is also, like, very sus to me. Like, just the way that it's spilling out of the woods.
Yeah. Not to mention, there's, like, we're in like a field of reeds. Someone could just throw our body in there and call it a day.
Unsettling.
Hello, everybody. Did it again.
Did it again.
Did it again.
Oh.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Abby.
Hey guys, I'm Caitlin. It feels so weird to hear you say Happy Saturday.
Right?
I wasn't expecting it.
It's throwing off your
I was
groove,
ready
right?
for you to say Happy Friday, but today is actually Friday.
Our cat needed a rabies shot, and so we couldn't go. Don't worry, he's fine. Everyone's fine.
No one actually has rabies. We won't get into the whole thing of what happened.
D-Heck was involved. It's just the whole thing. So we couldn't go to the movies last night, but we're super happy to be at the theater tonight seeing Lightyear.
Yes, and what is so crazy is this week I actually babysat for a couple of days for two little boys, and we watched the original Toy Story yesterday.
So you're like all prepped.
I was like so ready to go.
So what's really interesting is that the beginning of the movie is just like 3 black screens in a row. And it's like in 1995, a boy named Andy owned a toy named Buzz. It was a toy from his favorite movie. And then it says, "This is that movie." And I was like, oh, yeah.
That was super cool. I was not expecting that.
Right?
Like, I knew it was, like, the origin story of Buzz. But, like, I didn't know that they were going to make that connection to, like, why Andy had Buzz. And that it was based off of a movie.
Right. So, I have a lot of thoughts about this movie.
Me too.
I will let you start. Because we always do. It's part of our routine here.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. What are your thoughts?
I loved it.
You loved it?
And what's so funny is that I was very underwhelmed going into this movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, seeing the trailer, I really felt zero things about it. Like, I wasn't like excited or not excited. I was just very indifferent.
Neutral feeling, right.
Extremely indifferent going into this movie. Like, I had zero expectations, zero stakes in the game. Just like, we'll see what this movie is. Which
honestly is one of the best ways to go into a movie, because if you're too excited for something, then it's like a disappointment if it sucks. And if you are not excited, like,
you kind of have like a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. You're like, I don't want this to be good.
I hate this. Which I have, it's funny because I have seen movies with you that I felt like that.
Yeah.
Where I've been like, mad that I was even there to see it in the first place.
I know.
But it's okay. So this was not one of those movies. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were so many good laughs that we had that I was not expecting. Like, I don't know. I was just not expecting it to be as funny as it was. I won't say too much besides that because I kind of want to see what you think.
So what's really, really funny is that I, too, had no preconceived notions going into this. Like, I genuinely was just like, oh, it's a Buzz Lightyear movie. Like, I love Toy Story, but I knew that it wasn't Tim Allen. It's Buzz, but it's not, like, our Buzz.
Right.
It's what our Buzz is based off of. So I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't fucking wait to see Buzz Lightyear. But I was excited for it. And you know what? I was underwhelmed. I thought it was lacking in some areas that made it just, like, okay. You know what I mean? And so I was underwhelmed, not in a way of, like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. But I will say that I don't think I'll ever watch it again. And you know what it reminds me of is the same vibe I had coming out of Bad Guys.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
But, like, not great.
No. I will say I liked it a little more than Bad Guys.
Yeah.
I think overall it was definitely a better movie than Bad Guys.
It was wildly beautiful.
It was so beautiful.
There was a scene where he was, like, in his living quarters or whatever. And the sweatpants that he was wearing looked real. So I realized that I haven't really given any context about the film yet. It is really, really hard to not give spoilers. So I'm going to give the most brief description I have yet, because there are super important spoilers within the first 10 minutes. So Buzz Lightyear is a space ranger for Star Command, and he and his team land on a unexplored, unknown planet. The wildlife there is very hostile, and so they immediately say, we have to leave the planet. And on their way out, Buzz, being kind of overconfident and cocky, makes a calculated risk. Not even calculated, he just makes a risk. That ends up in him and what appears to be thousands of other crew members stuck on this planet. For the rest of the movie, again, no spoilers, Buzz is making it his mission to get himself and all of these other people off of this planet. And the reason why I'm saying that I can't give any spoilers is it gets very complicated very fast.
Yes, it does.
Like, very complicated.
Now that you say that, there were like a few handful of children in the movie.
Absolutely no way they understood that.
No thoughts.
Nope.
They probably were just like, Buzz Lightyear is in space.
Right. But you know what's funny, though, is that the kids that were in this movie were the quietest kids I've ever heard in a movie, and I think it's because it didn't hold their attention.
They were confused.
I was confused. So there is this explanation of how going into hyperspace, your time is slower than everybody else.
Yes.
And so it, like, within minutes, I was like, this is reaching. Like, this is confusing. And I think that kind of put the chip on my shoulder for the rest of it, because I was like, they really did that?
I can see why that was an issue. I think for me, I kind of just took that at surface level. Like, I didn't really, I was like, this is a children's movie. So I didn't really, like, think about it too much. But I did, when they were, like, explaining that, I was like, that was an interesting choice.
Right.
Again, for a children's movie.
Right.
Because children certainly did not understand that.
Absolutely not.
If we didn't understand it.
Listen, I mean, I struggle a little bit with, like, space and time. I'm a little bit freaked out by it, so I don't like to think about it for too long. Mid-description, I was just like, that's weird.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that.
Shifting from the negative to the positive, I think that I agree the humor was really good, and I also think that there were a really good set of characters. Shockingly, Buzz was the worst character in the movie. Buzz was really hard to like.
He also didn't really have much of, like, an arc. Like, he was kind of just that way the entire time. Basically, like what you said about the initial thing that happened where he kind of, like, made it that all of these people were stranded on this planet. It was sort of like he just never forgave himself for that, so he was just going to be insufferable.
Which was exhausting.
It was exhausting.
Like, we all know that person that, like, they just, like, will not forgive themselves and they won't let it go, and that's more frustrating than you being mad at that person.
Right.
Like, when they just, like, are beating themselves up over something constantly, you're just like, dude, shut the fuck up. And that's what I was wanting to say to a cartoon character.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting because the character Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story movies is so not like that. Like, he's so, I mean, he's just, like, lighthearted, and, I mean, he is very, like, mission-driven, I guess, but, like, he's a toy, so, like, it's just lighter. Like, this movie felt very dark and heavy for kids, in my opinion. I mean, like, there was a lot of humor and there was a lot of levity, but there was also just a lot of seriousness.
Yeah, I feel like this is a kid's movie that if your kid isn't 8 at least, they would just whoop. Which the kids in our theater were much younger than 8 years old, and I don't think any of them were digging it.
No.
The adults, however, were vibing.
Oh my god, we have to talk about. So we all know the moment where it is the inappropriate time to be laughing.
Yes.
In a movie or in real life, like
church. You've
heard of, like, people, like, laughing at church or, like, laughing at funerals or things like that. It happened today to both of us. I initiated this. There's always someone who initiates it.
And you kept going.
I couldn't stop myself. So what happened was something in the movie happened.
Sad.
That was sad.
Very sad.
Very sad and very sudden.
Yes.
And a woman, not a child, a full-grown adult woman literally went, It was the most dramatic gasp, the most audible dramatic gasp I've heard in a movie theater.
Caitlin grabs my arm and just, I feel, you know when you feel the person next to you laughing, like you could feel the shimmy of their shoulders?
Because I was trying to quiet myself and not laugh out loud.
I had to plug my ears so that I, like, didn't look at you and couldn't see you and couldn't, like, I looked away, I plugged my ears.
And I just couldn't stop laughing because once you start laughing, you can't laugh out loud, like, you have to just silently shake for minutes on end.
What was even worse, that, like, we started finally cooling off, and then a grown man who was there by himself, this man was, like, all camo, decked out to see Buzz Lightyear by himself. We finally cool off, and the sad scene is still playing on the movie, and this man sniffles.
He's sniffling.
He sniffles, and I could, like, I was squeezing your leg, you were squeezing my arm, it was, man.
My God. The most inopportune time of the entire movie to be laughing, honestly. Yeah. And we missed the moment because we were laughing, so we're so sorry if anyone heard us laughing. We were not in control of ourselves.
And then at the end of the movie, we had the most enthused applause.
It was like we were just left out of a Marvel movie.
Correct.
Like, on opening night. Mm-hmm. And, like, every adult in the movie was like, woo! And, like, clapping. I was like, oh my God, for that? Like, yeah.
The one thing I noticed, and I even said to you, like, while we were in the movie, is I was like, oh, it's Top Gun. And the one thing that, like, the reason I made that joke, and I also think the reason why people clapped, is that was the most up and down, adrenaline jerking, they're okay, and then danger, and then they're okay, and then danger. And, like, that would switch within seconds. Yeah. And it was the whole movie. And I think when your adrenaline is going up and down so much, at the end you're just like, oh!
Especially when there's, like, a resolution. So then, like, you end on, like, a high of, like, oh my God, like, everyone's gonna be okay.
I will say that, like, they did a good job building tension and, like, having good action. But to be honest with you, it was, like, too much for me. They did not give you time to breathe. And I think at maybe, like, an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, I was just like, I'm ready for this to be over. And then it kept going.
Yeah, it was only an hour and 45, but it felt way longer.
Right? And that's because I think it was too much up and down. And there wasn't those, what, like, Marvel is really good at is, you know, it's an action movie and there's almost nonstop action, but it'll slow you down at parts and it'll be character driven for a little bit or humor driven. And although there were good jokes here or there in the movie, there was no, like, breath, except for maybe the sandwich scene. That was the only breath we got the whole time. Now, I know the best part of the movie.
Okay, I was going to say, I need to talk about the best part of the movie.
No, the best part of the movie. Can we say it at the same time? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Socks. I want a Socks movie.
I want a Socks movie too, a Socks origin story.
Oh my God. So Socks is a robot cat that was given to Lightyear because he's kind of a loner in Star Command.
Right. And it was supposed to also kind of be like to help him because he was a little fucked up.
Yeah. And this cat becomes sentient and was easily the best character in the entire movie.
That cat carried the whole
carried the whole movie on his little back.
On his tiny little beans.
His tiny beans. He carried it so well.
I'm obsessed with socks. I want, like, a sock stuffed animal.
If I was a little kid coming out of that movie, I would immediately want my parents to find a sock stuffed animal.
100%.
He had a better arc than Buzz.
I was just going to say, why was he a better character than Buzz?
He was. He had these hilarious moments where he just went full cat.
Yes.
And on the flip side, he's this wildly intelligent scientist.
Right. Like a little AI cat robot.
So, like, in any movie, you have, like, the hacker character that, like, plugs into things and tap tap deep boop bop bop. That's him.
That's him. But he's a little kitty cat. He was truly the best part of the entire movie. Whoever wrote Socks in this movie, like, really gave it their all. He deserves an Oscar.
There were some other good characters. Like, there's a group of characters. I don't know who plays the old woman, but Keke Palmer plays the girl. Taika Waititi plays, like, the guy. And then there's, like, an older woman character. And they're kind of a little trio that ends up meeting up with Buzz. And they were even better characters than Buzz.
Yeah, they were.
Everyone was better than Buzz. Taika was, like, they just probably let him
just be himself.
Like, I feel like it was probably improv because his lines were so specific to him. His character was great. Keke Palmer was kind of like the heart of the movie, I would say. And the older woman was absolutely hilarious.
The older woman who was gay.
Oh, yeah. Another older woman.
Oh, I thought we were talking about... Sorry, I was just excited for gay rights. So...
Yeah, Disney Pixar said gay rights.
Hashtag Pride Month.
There was not just like a gay person, like a gay family.
A whole gay family. Like, she had a whole thing. Like, she was engaged, and then she got married, and then she had a kid, and then that kid had a kid. Like, and we got to see the whole thing.
It was so precious.
And even a gay kiss on screen.
And I think the thing that I loved is Buzz was looking at this gay family in not jealousy, but kind of like longingly. That was one of the, and that was such a short scene where we saw all of that happen. And I'm sad that that was so short. Because that was a true Pixar moment right there. That was like Pixar. In that little, probably, what do you think? That was maybe a minute-long scene? If that. And in that moment, we saw Buzz, like you said, long for that, but also be happy for his friend and his partner. That one scene, to me, was beautiful, and it was so Pixar. Which I was going to say, actually, earlier when I was talking about being underwhelmed, was I think one of the issues I did have with it was knowing I was seeing a Pixar movie, I was expecting more of a story, and they kind of failed at that. Like, heart and... It was like we got that in bits and pieces, but it was almost kind of like Jurassic World, where it was like none of it really connected how I wanted it to connect. Yeah. It was not a cohesive story. The story was told through peril. And so that was exhausting. Yeah. And, you know, isn't going to make you want to watch it again. I don't know if it was just a rushed movie or they were just I mean, it couldn't have been rushed. It was so gorgeous. I don't know if it was just them trying to crank out, like, the first, like, Pixar action movie because it was a Space Ranger. And they were trying to lean into, you know, this action movie that Andy watched as a kid. But it did feel a lot different from all other Pixar movies. Yeah, that really was missing. Which is unfortunate. Yeah. But I still think, like you said, it was a really enjoyable movie to see in a theater. I think especially if you have older kids, take them to see it. I think they would really enjoy it. I'm happy that I saw it in a theater because I don't think it would have played the same at home. I don't think I would have really enjoyed it at all at home. Because it was so visually appealing, you know, you kind of want to say, if you want to see it, go see it in a theater. Yeah. There were parts that I enjoyed, so I'm not going to say that it was horrible or, like, doesn't even deserve a small popcorn. I'm going to say it's a very full small. I'm going to give it a medium. Yeah. I'm actually going to be independent and rate it my own. Do I control? No, I'm saying because I usually go along with other people. So I'm going to have a medium popcorn as my rating for this movie. And hashtag independent women. Hashtag feminism. Hashtag Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you so much for joining us. If you do end up seeing Lightyear, shoot us a message on Instagram. I'm kind of interested to see what other people think. It has a little bit of a polarizing score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like in the 70s, I want to say. Yeah, it's a 79. So there's going to be some opinions either way. And I would love to hear more. I might put up like a little post that you guys can respond to. Definitely. I think this is a movie that when it ended, I looked
over to you, and I was like, I'm really excited to talk about this. Because there's just a lot to unpack from this little 1 hour, 45-minute Pixar film.
Yeah. The next movie we're seeing is going to have even more to unpack because we're seeing fat Tom Hanks and crazy Austin Butler in Elvis, and I cannot wait.
I can't wait.
Based on Austin Butler not being able to get out of Elvis's character, I'm so excited for this movie because I feel like the people that do that, they give you really good performances usually. But he needs psychiatric attention. Austin Butler, you're not Elvis, sweetie.
You're not alone. You're not Elvis.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you have an excellent weekend. Go do something fun.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.